I know what you mean. Oh, yeah, that sounds better. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Prayer Pod. Thank you all for the support on the last episode. I will be taking some notes from people. I will be talking less, listening more. I was just excited in the last episode. But today, as I told you, our guest has and shares many of the same loves as myself. Combat sports, creating content, being in nature, maybe potentially smoking some cannabis from time to time. And I am delighted to welcome Ted. Now, you're going to correct me, Helgusson?
Yes, Helgusson, if you want to hear the Swedish one.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ted.
Thank you so much for having me. Very nice.
We'll get into a little bit later how we know each other and how we met, but I'm just going to turn you up a touch so we can hear everyone. Yeah. We'll get into how we know each other a little bit later and how we met here in Spain, but I'm actually very interested because the only thing I really know about you is that you've fought in the past, and that essentially you've got a very interesting story to tell. In my head anyway, even seeing you in Tiger Muay Thai in those videos, like, that fascinates me. So as a huge combat sports fan, it's I'm excited to chat to you.
Oh, nice.
Starting off, what was life like growing up in Sweden?
Like quite cold, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so.
As not only the weather, like, I think the people become cold also, through generations of closing yourself in half of the year, just staying with your family in darkness. I think that becomes like a kind of cold society. So for me, what I feel about Sweden, I don't like it, and that's the reason I went to Thailand, the reason I went to Spain. Does it?
Do you feel that the climate and the lifestyle you're kind of forced to live because of the climate builds you're built a tougher, stronger person? You're just in versus people that live here and live at the beach all day. You can kind of see, I guess.
It's both yes and no, because we are all people and it's more than just the weather and stuff like that. But for sure, the whole mindset of how we socialize in Sweden is very different from here. It's not like you don't talk to anyone on the bus, you don't talk with, have eye contact too often and things like that. So, and I come from my childhood is different from other, I think, and similar to a lot of other people also. But I had a dad who was drinking a lot and eating diazepam, anxiety pills, his whole life, my whole life, and a mother who couldn't control herself, absolutely crazy. So my feelings about Sweden, I don't it's difficult to separate if it's just my whole living there from this craziness with my childhood and with my parents and things like that. I think it's a little bit of both, but I can clearly see a more depressed and closed-minded society in Sweden than I see. For example, in Thailand or in Spain, the people I meet that travel and things like that, it's such a different feeling. When you get back to Sweden, it's just cold and I mean, not only cold weather, the whole vibe is it's not for me, I would say. Maybe some people love that place. I think a lot of people love that place. But for me, through my eyes, my perspective, I think, very political correct. The nose up in there. If you don't follow society, you will notice. You will notice if you don't follow the society's role. For me, it's like a little bit of a firewall imprinted in their mindset. That's what I think about Sweden.
From the perception that I guess we have in Ireland, looking at Sweden, we would say obviously a very clever people, incredibly smart, but for sure that kind of Scandinavian like coldness we would see, but also some of the people we've met in Sweden. The Swedes seem to travel a lot, or a lot of people from Sweden I've met on my holidays in my youth, a lot of different Swedish people, and we've always had like they've always been super nice, always usually great looking, beautiful and blonde, and like stoic, but it's just interesting to see it from the perspective of someone who's actually lived there. What was the initial urge to get into fighting, and what age did you get into that?
I was 23, so it's 10 years ago now, 11 years even. I'm 34 now. Forgot about that. So it was like I always been an athlete. I started off with football when I was like the real football, you know, the European football, the one you kick with,
soccer,
as they call it over there. I started off with that when I was 7, and I did that to I was 23, and also I drove motocross for 6 years, 6 to 12. Played floorball, if you know what that is.
Floorball, no.
No, you have to look it up. It's like you have a stick and you have a shallow ball with holes in it. So, it's difficult to explain the whole thing. But you're 5 against 5, and it's similar to. You have 5 players outside, and then you have one goalkeeper each.
Yeah.
And it's the setup of hockey, ice hockey, but you run, and it's like plastic floor.
Okay, yeah.
So floorball, for the people that don't know what it is, look it up. It's pretty big in Sweden. So I did that for many years also, and just tried judo when I was very young, and I tried everything: basketball, ice hockey, and no matter what. I tried it: skateboarding, rollerblade, everything. So lifting weights I started doing when I was 15. So I did from I was 15 to 23. I didn't do anything really serious with training. I thought I did. I was lifting a lot of weights, and but I was still drinking alcohol, doing all this.
Yeah.
Fucked up shit.
This was kind of my question about the Swedish culture. So is drinking a big culture over there? Because I know drug wise, from what we've seen. I don't know if you are. I'm a Machine Gun Kelly fan. Do you know who that is? He's like a rapper and like all that.
Yeah, I know.
I remember watching a video of him in Sweden, and he got arrested for he smoked a joint on stage. Someone threw him one, and he smoked a joint on stage, and he got arrested. And I remember being like, I just never knew the Scandinavian drug law. So what is the case when you're growing up in Sweden?
With the alcohol and stuff like that, it started very early. Everyone starts like 13, 14, 15, around there.
Yeah,
and it's like very normal. In society, it's very normal to drink. If you don't do it, you're outside of society.
Okay.
I will tell you more about that a little bit later on. I want to keep on with why I started with MMA.
Let's do it.
So with all that background of being, I always had in my mind every sport I did. I always was. I'm gonna be the best, you know, in my mind always, and make sure I'm at training and things like that. But so when I was 23, I had a lot of problems with mental health. I was I didn't like myself at all, didn't like life, more or less suicidal. And at that time, I was lifting weights, right? And I saw a friend of mine, he had a Hayabusa bag with him. And I'm like, oh, you train MMA now? Because I was still into MMA. I was still like following UFC and everything. So I saw he had a bag, and then I talked to him and like, I'm going to join you next time you go to this club. And it was in Gothenburg, so it's like 20 minutes from where I'm from. And at that club, a childhood friend was the coach. That it was my brother's childhood friend, but he was still in my heart. And my brother is just 3 years older than me. So from that, I just it was grappling the first day, and I was like, don't really know about that.
Yeah.
But one session.
Is that wrestling or is that jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. Like would say no-gi jiu-jitsu. I would say.
Would you have said your initial like you wanted to get into maybe like striking initially? Would that have been the thing you would have thought about MMA?
It was. I knew about all the things there. It was just the first time I was like very skeptic to it.
Yeah.
But one time and I was sold.
Who were you watching when you were like in the UFC at that time, like going in?
My first favorites were like back then Diaz brothers.
Yeah,
for sure. Smoking
Stockton,
weed,
motherfucker.
smoking
Stockton.
smoking weed and.
Because you had the Nick Diaz, you would probably saw him. I didn't watch it until Nate was on the Ultimate Fighter, so I never saw the Nick. I had to just rewatch Nick versus all his fights. Where you at, George? Amazing, amazing.
So. Yeah, that's how I got into that, and at the same time with this mental health thing was I was drinking a lot, almost from I was 18 to 23. Like every weekend I wanted to party or drink, mostly. Of course there were some weekends there where we took it easy, but always partying, right? So I ended up feeling really, really fucking bad, suicidal thoughts for many months, and I woke up one day it was a New Year's Eve, and I woke up at my friend's couch, just fucking smashed, right, completely obliterated from that party, and I started thinking about. Killing myself more or less. So when that happened, it was like I was thinking about going to a bridge and jump, or I go home and I smoke the biggest joint and just forget about it, and then don't drink alcohol for a month. That was my my goal, right? And after a month, that turned into a year, and the MMA thing was exactly the same months when I started doing that. So we went full focus MMA and doing that instead of drinking, and that was the start of like not only fighting in MMA, but also fighting my
demons.
Demons. I didn't want to say that because it's so cliche, but
but
that's it. It's just dark thoughts, and it comes from now 10 years later. I'm so great. I don't want people to feel sorry for me now, because I came out of it. Back then I couldn't even open my mouth about it, you know. So what I feel is these thoughts coming from a very, how do you say, like when you plant a seed, right, and you want a nice flower, you need to have the right nutrition. You need nutrients. You need it needs water. It needs sun and everything, right, for this plant to grow as good as possible. And I think it's the same thing with your thoughts and things like that. If your soil within is fucked up, didn't get the right nutrients, you know, your parents didn't raise you well, you have you will be a little bit fucked up with your thoughts. So yeah, that's my what I've seen where it comes from. The demons things is everything is connected to your childhood. That's it. And every problem I have, I need to address the problem, and then I have to find the root from it. And every time it comes down to myself. Every time it's just me. I have to change my own behavior because I put myself in all these situations. It's like me giving to people all the time, just being too nice. That's a thing that I had. Giving, never asking. I just give energy to everyone all the time. So things like that. Just it's me. It was me who put myself in those situations to be used or be like. There is assholes in the world, right? And some of them want to trip your legs. They're gonna do it, but it's up to you to temper the fall or whatever.
Anticipate it.
Yeah, it's like you can for me, I always take it down to that to find the root problem, and then change it. And as soon as you're mindful about the problem, then you have to work on it every day for a long time, and I feel weird. I don't feel like when I find a really big problem with myself and I have to change it, the first, I feel a little bit weird, like out of my normality, or how to say, but that's the way.
Of the research I was able to do on you, there was one video you sent me, and you do like it's like a training footage of you training, and then you talk about over the top, it's like an interview, and you talk about an energy that everyone has inside them that needs to come out in some form, and fighting for you was the way to do that. Yeah. So did you find that after you started MMA and you put yourself in, like, you exhaust yourself so much in the art of violence or whatever it is, that after it's you expend so much that there's those feelings are kind of expelled as you do those, like when you're training, when you're fighting, all those things?
For me, MMA and fighting overall just helped me with confidence. More or less the confidence was the biggest thing. Like, I couldn't talk with my parents, right? So I have a lot of energy inside of myself, because I feel energy is just you and me talking, reflecting. That's also energy. And so I feel I kept a lot of inside of me, and I didn't speak up. I didn't speak up to people if I was easy manipulated. If I don't speak up, it's very easy to I just listen to what everybody else said.
You want to be liked and accepted, all those things.
Yes.
I relate to a lot of this, man.
And just too much of it, not good for me either. And MMA taught me that, gave me that I have to fight back, not fight back a little bit, but just setting boundaries, and also the thing was like I wasn't a street fighter or anything. Very rarely ended up in fights, so I always been a calm guy, and I kept on hearing like, "Oh, you're such a calm guy. How can you do this?" And they were questioning that, and then I started seeing like, if I can, as a calm guy, not even aggressive, can learn this thing, I can learn like whatever. So only going there, practicing fighting, and talking with all these like nice people in MMA. Also, everyone thinks it's just brutal guys in there. It's the complete opposite. Most of them are like kind of broken, like myself, and very good environment to be in. So going there, having people that don't judge you for it, and you find a group of like new friends, or how to say, that was one thing. But then also I started seeing like all these big guys with fucking big confidence and things like that. When you were with them in sparring or something, and I was able to like be better than them and make them suffer, it feels nice in your head, because before I thought I would never be able to do anything like that against but now I'm like, if I just keep practicing technique, then I will be good. So it gave me just a lot. I think it's been like a mentor for me, just keeping disciplined. If you're disciplined and keep doing all these things, your brain is gonna develop. So it gave me a lot.
Did the thought, this is just from me growing up now in Ireland, fighting's a big part of like growing up in Ireland. A lot of like bare knuckle fighting, but just people fight a lot in Ireland. It was never me. I'm a bit of a pussy. It's full transparency. Also, I never really got, from like when we started going to clubs, I was tall, and like I just never really got fucked with, I guess, because people presumed it would be like I'd be able to keep up with myself or whatever. Yeah. And the reality is, like in most social situations now, I'm always anxious that something's gonna start. Never because of me. That's not my personality at all. But if something did start, if someone tries to like fuck with, you know, one of my friends or my missus or something like that, the reality that like if he knows how to fight, I'm getting fucked up is very in the forefront of my mind all the time. So that kind of confidence that you can get just from, not from going in and fucking street fighting and all that shit, but practicing technique and being in that, putting yourself in that situation time and time again, you must have such an ease when you're out and about. Not ease, but knowing, always being able to pull it out, but never having to, almost, you know, having it in your back pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And it just... exactly, as you said, it's just a feeling of not being like, from being able to be fucked with. Like when I was younger, I was small also. I wasn't a big kid, so in my group of friends, I was easy to pay. I wasn't like, I don't want to sound like I got bullied. I didn't get bullied, not at all, not at fucking all.
Yeah.
I want to make that sure.
Yeah.
But when you are a group of friends and you're a teenager, you will have your spots in your group of friends.
Yeah.
And my spot was, I was the little bit smaller one, and I didn't talk up, so it was easy to make fun of, joke with me and stuff like that. But then later, when I started doing this, it changed my mind from not feeling that like a coward, like, or how to say. It's not that I'm gonna punch everyone in the face as soon as I don't like them, you know.
Spinning heel, kicking everyone.
Yeah, I'm still gonna be
Ted,
humble.
relax.
Yeah, I'm still gonna be humble. But if you wanna go, then I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
of course. But no,
such a cool thing to be able to say.
The thing is, what I know now, my mouth is even sharper than my hands. So I will, like, it will take a long time for you to get these punches to punch you. You have to be a really fucking asshole for me to start punching you, or we meet in the ring. It's
I think anyone, in my experience, the people who know how to fight or train fighting regularly are never the people. I think they've seen the realities of combat and they're like, look man, I could really, really hurt you if you want me to. Like I have friends who fight, and I've asked them, like, kick me in the leg at 30% just to see what that feels like. And to the like sheer state of like immobilization I can, like, since he barely kicked me. He was like, that was genuinely 30% of what I had, and I was on the ground. So I think people just I always think that there's a lot of people when they grow up, they don't get punched in the face when they're younger, when they were a little lippy to someone. I was lucky to get I got popped when I was 13 by this kid Charlie in my year. He's a good guy actually. Charlie. And we were all mouthing, very similar to this. I was kind of similar to you in my friend group, and like the lads would take the piss out of me. I had like a high voice and crazy hair, but I was always able to like chirp back and all that shit. And we were ripping Charlie one day, just like in the changing rooms, and everyone was doing it. And then he obviously was like, he was getting so fucked up, and then I said something. He was like, I'm not taking it from you. And so I walked out of the changing rooms and turned back around, and he just, I still see now, put everything into it, popped me in the nose. I go down, like, not great, started like crying, and I was like, the teacher's kind of like, get off me. I was like, Kevin, let me. I didn't want to do it. I was terrified. I was like, I can't believe I just got popped in the face. He was more surprised. He was like, oh my God. And then after that, I was like, ever since then, I'm like, I don't want to ever feel that again. And like, it just wasn't, there was no part of me that was like, I'm going to kill him after this. I was like, no, that's probably it now. So I think there's a lot of guys now who've gone through their whole lives never getting reality checked, and now they're gonna, it's going to come from someone like you at some point.
Maybe. Maybe
or not in the case of a street fight, in the case of life, you know.
For sure, but I think it's a very good point. Like, a lot of people can do a lot of fucked up shit today without having any consequences. So, but with all that stuff, just I think also MMA, like when you go, like, it makes sense. I go and fight five times a week. Why do I don't need a sixth time. I already flushed all that energy out. And then you put on top of that, I know I knock you straight out if you even, like,
it wouldn't be competitive.
No, it's ridiculous. After that, I've been in a little bit of altercation, but like drunk people, fighting with hands like this, like you can go in the middle of that and nothing will happen.
Yeah.
So, and that's also a thing that if I didn't know this, I will still be scared of that situation. But now I'm not scared about that situation. Now the thing I'm scared about is weapons.
Yeah. Oh,
because
Jesus Christ, man. And you can't. Yeah.
That's also a thing with ego and all these macho guys. They like if they start something and they got punched, many times they come back with revenge because it's something else for them.
No one can have. It's a respect thing for them, and they think no one can walk around thinking they've one up me, or else everyone's gonna think I'm a pussy. So I got to go put a knife in his neck to let him know that like you don't fuck with us.
Yeah.
That's
also a thing that I'm
crazy.
Like, because the people who are looking for fights are not the nice guys. The people who look for fights and things like that are usually not very nice. Maybe.
Nope.
I'm not saying all of them are like complete assholes. A lot of them have same kind of childhood as me, so I'm not judging them for being crazy people. I've also been crazy, but in another way.
Yeah.
So I don't judge them for that. But those people are the ones that may be looking for a fight also, and they probably, some of them will not be able to take a loss. They can't, and they have to come back with friends or with weapons and things like that. So that's also a thing where I like I don't want any problem.
Yeah.
I don't want any problem outside of why. Like there is no reason. Even if I can fight, I can fucking run away from this shit also and go away and talk and just like defending first.
My dad his claim to fame is he can talk his way out of any fight. He's always prided himself in being able to, lads, let's just have a conversation very quickly before we start fighting. He's good at like talking his way out. But the generation, like even just from mine or like me growing up and now, even in Ireland, man, the recklessness of the like 13 plus like kids like in the drug game. You see people like stealing cars, knifing people, killing people. I'm like, man, these kids are like 13, 14 years old, and like they think that life, I don't know, they just think that this is what life is. They've no idea. Like even the perspective you'd have at my age now and 13, just at 28, some people would say my life's only starting. People are living that like they're going down for attempted murder and their lives are over at 15 before they've even started. It's just crazy to see how people's have such a low regard for life now.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, both yes and no. Depends on how far and deep you want to look into things. But for me, bad shit after bad shit, good shit comes. So I think what happens with all these fucked up shit will turn into something good afterwards. So you get like I've been like, how do I say, skeptic to society and thought about all these fucked up shit. But now I feel like I can look at it and I can feel bad for it, or I can what I've been doing a little bit more, looking into the reasons why, and look not how do I say like just to not feel sad, right? Okay, take away I don't want to feel sad, and if you look at one thing and you get sad every time, I want to change that feeling about this thing. So I try to find the reason to why it's happening, because then it's much easier to
digest almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I look into these things a lot, and so for me, even if I see fucked up things happening with with society and people, I think it will be better afterwards. I read somewhere with men that has an easy life will how do you say, raise weak men.
Yep.
And weak men will I think create a rough life for those kids, and they become strong, and they something like that. I don't know. So I think it's just gonna flow over to something nice afterwards.
It's a great way to look at things.
Yeah.
Do you? That's 30 minutes. Do you want to take a break? Are you happy to keep going?
I can take a break. Drink a little bit of coffee.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We just medicated. We are now back.
Exactly.
I guess we'll get into it now a little bit. Speaking of cannabis and smoking weed, growing up in Ireland, particularly, growing up, it was made out to me that smoking weed was loot for losers and like an incredibly dangerous thing. And you smoke weed, next thing it's heroin. I remember those conversations. So, in a way, I wasn't introduced to it until I moved to Canada when I was 24-ish. I'd say I'd had a few joints before. When I went to Canada the first time and was open to it, I was like, this is a completely new world, and kind of fell in love with the world of cannabis. Do you want to maybe tell me a little bit of how you got into it and living in Sweden and how we ended up at this point?
Yes, it's the same thing there. Just propaganda about this little plant that grows out of the ground.
It's untaxable. You can't tax something that you it's
just crazy how they want to do that. It's the same thing in Sweden. Like the schools, everything they have. Like we always had like a junkie coming to school having this lecture, and it's like it starts with the joint. And it ends up with heroin.
He's got dreadlocks and he's in like a rainbow t-shirt, and you're like, that guy's a loser, guys. You don't want to be this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And all like the misleading things they say about it, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I smoked my first joint when I was 16. First time I smoked, I didn't feel anything, but we couldn't roll either, man.
Yeah.
No, I had that fucking
What
shit,
was the quality like in Sweden? Do you remember even? Like brown and like dry.
Yeah, back then it was. No, it was still green, but it's not the. It's like the cheap stuff today, cheap stuff.
Are you getting in big trouble in Sweden if you get caught with cannabis?
Yeah, I would say so. Not too much with jail, but they will. They take your driver license quite often. They give you fines, like ridiculous high fines.
Yeah.
And then when you're in the system, they will just be the douchebags.
Yeah.
But that's fucking cops, man.
Yeah. Did you obviously, you said you watched the Diaz brothers growing up, so did you always have I guess you got the whole way growing up into, you always saw this symmetry between cannabis and fighting and martial arts?
Yeah, but I started, like, growing up, I still started MMA when I was 23.
Oh wow. Yeah.
23 I started. So before that I was just a sports fan.
Yeah.
And when I was 16, that was the time I started smoking. But since it wasn't that easy to get a hold of, we couldn't, and we didn't have too much money either. So it was just a little bit occasionally. But then when it was like school breaks and things like that, we always loaded up and had like one fucking night.
Loaded up.
I
can't deny it. I'm a street rider.
With like munchies and all that, playing Guitar Hero and just having a lot of fun with that.
That's 90% of what being a stoner is. I had a big phase when I first moved over here of I love medicating a little bit and then playing video games. Love it. Something about, and especially when like Warzone and stuff came out, because it's so like realistic and the audio levels have come so much to like you hear. It's just the experience I feel is so heightened, which I really enjoy. But when what have you found since you've, I guess, when you started smoking to now,
have you found that there's been any like I guess the positives and negatives you've seen changes in yourself since you started smoking?
Oh yeah, for sure. As I say, from my background, how I grew up in a war zone, I would say. It's not with guns and like people have way shittier war zone childhoods than me, but it's the same thing. There was always a fight every weekend. Like my dad drinking, my mom crazy. Kids growing up like that, it's logical. We will be rattled up. It's like similar. It's not 100% PTSD. By the way, all this doctor stuff with the labels of what you're diagnosed, I'm very skeptic to that also. So if I can explain how I feel, we have a nervous system, right? And it feels like this is scared up, and it's always very edgy. And when I smoke, that one calms down, so I can be calm. Otherwise, I'm fucking edgy all the time in my thoughts. Every decision I take, I get very impulsive. So when I started smoking, I started feeling that relief a little bit. But at that time in the beginning, I wasn't evolved in my brain either, so I didn't really know what it was. I wasn't that into thinking about and that was just the start of where I understood where I understood I had some fucking issues I have to fix, because I can't go around and feel like I'm happy I'm not a dumb man. So I found that out, and marijuana helped me a lot with calming me down. And as I said, I didn't speak with anyone, very quiet about this stuff. And I used to drink and party, and I'm so happy that it was marijuana that I fell in love with instead of coke. Because I am an on and an off guy, always been. Now I have to practice to give out just a little bit and not fucking 100% all the time. So I'm very happy that my mind got stuck on this one than the other one. Because I think, it was that decision. It's still that day. It's still so clear in my head, and it was just either do this or you go and smoke a joint. And what the fuck would I do if I didn't have the joint? Would it be go and drink some more beer? You know, that would be the fucking thing. And so anyone who this is the thing in Sweden, it's so stigmatized, right? So if they know I'm a stoner, they will put me in a box of the level of respect they will give to me. It doesn't really matter how smart things I've say I'm still the stoner. So that to me been also a thing. Like for me it's the savior. Like for me it helped me so much to fucking be who I am. And when you have a society looking at this thing like my thing that kept me breathing and just all these things, right? And they look at it that way. It makes sense. It's gonna make me feel like shit. I have to put away something that I'm helped me out. So when I speak with people, a lot of people know from I've been talking to them with that had these mental health things. But when I speak with them and I say that marijuana is what helped me, I see it fucking hurt. Like they can't take that in. It's like for me it feels like they think it's just a justification for my junkiness, or how to say. And if the whole every stoner in Sweden get out of Sweden and try to live in a country where you can smoke without having a stigma, you will feel relaxed. You will not be that paranoid. And you know what I talk about, Swedes, when I say, yeah, we always feel paranoid when and that's also a thing they say, oh, you will be paranoid, and things like that. What I feel with the paranoia things, what people can't really handle sometimes, is that marijuana makes you feel things clearer, or how to say what I feel. So when they're not used to this and they drink alcohol and things like that to get away from life, or how to say, so when they get this one and they start thinking about their own problem, then anxiety pops up, and they think it's the drug that created the anxiety. No, it's just your reality. Many times people start thinking about their own reality and get anxious. That's the paranoia. The real paranoia is when you think someone is following you every day. That's real paranoia. This paranoia, you say, is bullshit. It just so that scares a lot of people away. That's what I feel. And a lot funniest things is first time they try it out, I've been asking, like, is it fair? Were you drunk? It's like, yeah. It's like, you will throw a whitey, 100%. You will fucking puke.
I've had, this is one of the most frustrating conversations I've had, is when I go out. First of all, for most of my like smoking career, it was done in like seclusion. I generally smoke on my own. I like to edit. I like to edit photos. Any of those things. I like to do my work. So generally it's like a secluded thing. But when people say to me, I tried it once, but just like, or like, yeah, I smoked a blunt once with this guy and it just got way too high. And I was like, okay, if you were drinking your first time drinking alcohol, like most of us did, if you just drank a 500 cl of vodka the first time drinking, threw up, your stomach was disgusting, you were hungover for a week, you'd be like, alcohol's never for me again. I give my friends, so if I'm smoking with a friend, I'd be like, have one pull and then come back to me in 45 minutes. And if you come back to me and think I feel nothing, they'd be like, great. But the amount of people come back and go, wow, that's like plenty. So like, of course you're going to pollute yourself. No one has any respect for like starting and like volume you should start with, and they write it off so quickly as it's not for me. And look, listen, I'm not going to push it on anyone. I'll always talk about the benefits I've found with it, but I know people, like my brother for instance, it's just not right for some people. Same thing as alcohol. I've countless people I could list of who can't drink or bad drinkers. They get violent when they drink, they get like super upset when they drink, or dark, any of those things. But the feeling of almost shame you would have, or like, I hope my girlfriend's parents don't find out that I like to smoke weed. Luckily I had a dad who had like smoked weed in his past, there was no stigma over it, so I never felt shamed for that. So my first intro to it was with him. So I felt very comfortable going into it, and I was in a very safe environment in my kitchen. I wasn't in a field somewhere, or like,
you did it with your dad.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
That's sick, man. So I was like, this is sick. And and so like my intro to it was super good, and I think that was a real reason why I got to enjoy it. I felt very comfortable in the environment I was in. But it just now, I don't know if you saw Thailand just legalized.
Yes, I'm updated.
Yeah. That's crazy. I follow some guys who are on holidays there now, and apparently like the quality of the flower over there is incredible. And
oh really? Is
I've heard it's good.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me that it's really good, but just compare. Maybe we compare from this place.
Yeah. So well, interesting. Where's the best weed you smoked?
Still, like the favorite strain is still white runs.
Because
this what I talked about, what I need for to stay calm. White runs is absolutely the best for stop anxiety. Like my level, like center me, and I don't get too stoned even if I smoke. I'm just very level. So for me, my genetics and my fucked up system I have, I need this one. Everyone is fucked up.
Yeah, man, facts. Do you find yourself ever getting too stoned now, or ever going over, or you always hit the balance?
Like too stoned for me today. It's just like, I feel it, but you can put me in any situation. I can go out run. I can go boxing if I have to. Like I can. It's all about this also.
Yeah.
If I feel from my experience from marijuana community, the talks is the indica make you so tired and this and that, but it's like go out on a party and you smoke indica, and then you drink your Red Bulls and things like that, and you go to sleep. Then it's something okay. Then I believe you get but it's just
everyone's different.
Yeah, and I think also it's been just a thing that you use indica for the couch. That's the thing. You understand what I mean? Like sativa
it was always
this.
sativas were ups and indicas were downs. Yeah. That was always it.
So I think you can use both for different, like sativa for me, for example, what I've noticed now back in Sweden, right? I only been here for not too long. So in Sweden we don't have all sorts of things.
You don't get the choice. Yeah, you get what he has.
Sup, man? You have 5 grams,
like,
600 Swedish crowns,
and grams of whatever you have, man. Whatever you have. Yeah.
And maybe they have 2 strains. The quality is nice, crystally, like really good. Smell nice.
Yeah, you're up on top of it now, no matter where you are.
But when you come here and you have a lot of different, varieties. I started really feeling really going in and trying it out, and indica and hybrids are the ones I have to go with. Sativas for me, it's nice, but after 40 minutes I get anxious and a little bit of heart poundings. It's not that I break down and feel like, oh, this was the baddest joint ever. It's not like that. It's just like, if I'm gonna smoke, I'm gonna smoke the things it's pleasurable.
Yeah. I kind of found that like the darker stuff, like the indicas and stuff, that I'd be like much more likely to be like. I'll give you a good story. For example, when I go to Vancouver, all my office, the guys I work with, they're all Asian and they're all from Vancouver, so all big stoners, and they we were staying in an apartment one of the days when I went over. And they started passing around a blunt when we were at, and Jesus Christ, for whatever it was, I'd been smoking the Irish stuff, and I go to Vancouver and they're passing this around. I probably had 3 or 4 hits of it, and I woke up next day on the couch. I was like, and it was the next day, like they're all gone, and I go into the room. I'm like, Mom, what happened? He was like, yeah, man, you like fell asleep like straight away. And I was like, what? Like, he fell asleep. We just kind of partied around you. You were asleep? He's like, yeah, you were out for like 10 hours. And I was like, geez, it was just I smoked it like I would whatever I was getting at home. And clearly this stuff, like one of the guys, particularly in my office, he smokes really heavy stuff. And it just showed me the power of it, and like that you have to respect it. And then that's when I kind of put some time into finding what was right for me. And that's how I found Super Silver Haze or Bomb Haze. Whatever you have, either of the two. But
exactly.
As you were saying, we were talking about Thailand there a little bit. What first brought you out there? I saw you were trying to Tiger Muay Thai and stuff.
As in my nature, I'm adventurous, and this also comes down to I probably will go back to a lot to just to explain myself, like why I am like I am a little bit. But it comes back to childhood also. I didn't have a safe home. You know, when I got into my teenager, I looked to sleep at other people's places. I didn't want to stay home. So that became my nature a little bit, and I started feeling like I want to go somewhere. And I've seen people being in Thailand, and I saw the pictures. And then the MMA thing was, I knew Muay Thai. So I just wrote Thailand MMA on Google. Yeah. Tiger Muay Thai popped up, looked in, booked for 2 months first time. Went there all by myself, and I lived like 7 kilometers away from the gym, because I didn't know anything. I just looked up and like, oh, that seems good. Take that, live there. And so first 2 weeks I was walking 7K to training, 7K home. But for me, it was like, I listened to all my coaches. I listened to what I like, train hard, fight easy. Like, so then so first 2 weeks I did that. But then it just like, I can't fucking do it. It was raining also. I was in a rainy I didn't look that up either. I just thought
it's supposed to be beautiful,
yeah, Thailand is Thailand. But it was very nice. So after 2 weeks, I moved closer to Tiger Muay Thai. But the whole thing was just to go there, train, eat, sleep, and yeah, that's what I did. And that street, Soi Thad, it's called. It's amazing. It's 2 kilometers long, and it's just packed with Muay Thai gyms, MMA gyms, CrossFit, normal gyms. It's a fitness street. It's absolutely insane. Everyone has to go there if you're a fitness junkie. I think you should go. So yeah, I lived there, and it became my my new home, I would say. And getting so much get out so much out of my comfort zone, doing that thing, going to Thailand all by myself, don't have any friends or anything, and picking doing that with ease. Of course I had money and things, but still complete different other country, not many people talking English, until I came to that fitness street. Everyone was talking English, but still the point is, doing that also put some courage in my backpack. Yeah, so MMA again took me to a place where I could grow, and surrounding yourself with the best people in the people there was today they are a lot of them is in UFC, and they are doing really, really, really well. So it's been
name drop a few people.
Brad Riddell.
Yeah, wow.
Kai Kara France.
Alex Volkanovski.
He's been there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I haven't Brad Riddell. I spoke to a lot. I celebrated New Year's Eve and Christmas with Kai Kara France, Roger Huerta.
Kai Kara France just fought for. He fought Brad Moreno for the interim. Yeah.
Yeah. So those guys, George Hickman, he was like, when I got there, I think it was that year, he just won the Tiger tryouts, so he got on the team. So that was very nice. I just got there before first time I got there, it wasn't the same owners. It was a Danish owner, I think, and a lot smaller. So it was a more they call themselves Team Banter, and it was I think Brad Riddell, Kai Kara France, George Hickman, Andrew Woody, Roger Huerta, Alex Shield, Emilio, Urutio. I always forget his. There were a bunch of really nice people there. That that were the welcoming from them, and just like I knew Roger Huerta also from I think he was in UFC. I knew him, so that for me was like very nice. Like good people, you know, getting there. I didn't think anything more than I was nervous when I got there, getting it, and then after 1-2 sessions, the same thing there, 1-2 sessions, and you just like, why do I have any prejudged like imaginations of So
the thought is always worse, man. I've found, even with this podcast, every time I get like the opportunity to podcast with someone, I get nervous beforehand. And every time I finish the podcast, I feel like, good, I did that, because it's every time you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, for me anyway, I find I something good comes of it every time.
Every time.
And I lose confidence in sometimes. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I even doing this? And then after, I'm like, that's exactly why. And you need to try and bottle that feeling.
Yes.
If you could fucking bottle that up and be like that, and that's what you have to try and do, and go like, remember the feeling of that. You know,
it's kind of similar to because a lot of people I've been training. I've been now I understand a little bit why I had it easy to work out. That was my way of fleeing from that, from a lot of things. But a normal question is that how can you keep up with training and motivation and things like that. A simple thing to that is I haven't went to a single training session and felt bad afterwards. Never ever in my life I have done that. So I fucking know if I have a bad day, a really shitty day, if I go out, I can punch the bag, I can lift some weights, I will feel a little bit better afterwards. Maybe I'm not the happiest person, but little bit, and that's better. So it's always been a thing, like knowing that after every session I will feel a little bit better. So that's been the thing to keep me doing one of the things when I'm unmotivated. But as I said, I've built up a lifestyle, always been in sports, always been hanging out with teammates, things like that. For me it became normal doing all these things.
Can I ask you very quickly about the fighting? I watched your spar, the one spar you sent me from that. Mate, you got fucking hands, first off. Second off, were you ever like, I'm gonna try and become a pro fighter? Was that ever?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay,
man.
great. Okay, because
sure,
I was
100%.
like, the spar, the brute, like just the way I see it, like I presume at some points, like there's sparring days where you're like, fuck, if like I'm not there today, or like I'm not in the mood today, and you get like, you're still getting like rocked, and like I guess what people don't see is that, like, are you sore a lot, like after like a heavy spar, like the next day, like do you feel rattled and stuff the next day going through your day? Yeah. Yes,
completely, like a little bit broken.
Yeah.
I think it's destructible behavior is kind of normal in people. I think, and to break yourself down and build yourself up is
healthy.
It's healthy, yes. Even if we get, I'm not saying your brain is gonna grow if you get punches to it. I don't say that, but if you get through some shit, it's mentally tough, and I think it helped me a lot. Even this is also a thing I can think back now. Even if I was so mentally bad, I was still able to do all these things.
Yeah. Did you feel fear when you were fighting at the start?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Do you still feel it if you were fighting?
Yeah, and that's me as a person. I have catastrophic thinking. That this is a thing that I've been working on for 10 years. Catastrophic thinking that I always put I think. Yeah, it's very
worst case scenario.
Yeah, worst case scenario. But I haven't worked on it for 10 years. It have taken me 10 years to come to this place where I know that I do these things, so I don't believe in them anymore. But that time, yes, and it showed in my fighting style also. I'm not attacker. I'm defense counter puncher.
You're beating the shit out of that guy in that video. I don't know. I'll try and put some of that over this, but Jesus, man,
that was quite funny. That fight.
That atmosphere is insane.
Yeah.
With the music and like the whole crowd, I'll put some of that in here because it's remarkably cool, man.
That's the most proud moment in my fighting career, because that's my only win.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's my only win. And
that atmosphere, that's unreal.
Yeah, I have seven different fights. I think it's 7. Let me have a look. 2 boxing, 2 Muay Thai, 1 what do you call that one? MMA, but not shoot fighting. Shoot fighting, and 2 grappling competitions.
Yeah.
So what I learned from MMA with this, it was my mind. It was my mind that was weak. That's the reason I didn't go to have fights every too often. It's something that I was too afraid of having fights, because I know my technique. I know because I've done the hours in the gyms. I know what people I've been training with, and what people been complimenting me, and what people I had conversations with. That so I'm confident in my technique. I'm confident just in myself. It's logical. If I put amount of time into something and I've done it for so long, I will become good at it. But my mind weren't able to work freely, and when you can't do that, you will see that directly in the ring or your behavior overall. But my fighting style have always been defensive and countering. And if you look at me as a person in life, that's pretty much me also. I'm not looking for problems, but if you wanna fuck around with me, I'm gonna fucking fuck around back. You know, this is a thing that I learned.
Apologies, everyone. We're back at it.
Apology
still rolling.
accepted.
Still going. Apologies. You were talking about mentally. You almost, like, when I think of like Kamaru Usman, for instance, is meant to be incredibly mentally tough. So I guess you identified that no matter how well trained you are, if you don't have like the mental side down, you're gonna struggle, kind of thing.
Yeah, and for me, it's not that weak maybe was the wrong word to use. Energy, and your energy. What do you call it? Your what's the name? Your container where you keep your energy inside, right? You only have a certain amount of energy to give to something, and it comes from here, and your brain is the one who directs where to put the energy. I feel this is just my perspective out of it, but since I had all these family issues, from my brain was on my family issues too much to. Yeah, I just had that on my mind. That was the thing that I had to overcome before anything. That's how I look at it now. So even if I put my training, I put everything. Like I trained, if I did my personality, right? When I find something, people call me crazy. And it's for this reason. It's when I find something, I go 100%. I go full mental loco on it, or how to say. So from what I noticed, my difference with was that when I went to a session, I noticed this early. It was first session, striking session. We practiced 1-2 slip and then come with a cross, right? And we were there for 1.5 hours was that session. And then we had next session on Wednesday. So it was 1 day in between. And I was standing at home, shadow boxing, doing the drill. So when I came back, the person who was my friend, the guy I told about the Hayabusa bag.
The coach,
the coach also, but also my friend, the guy I was training with. And he was like, "Oh, how did you learn so quick?" And I thought about, like, am I really a quick learner, or did I just put more time into it? And that was the thing that I did more often than what I think. I took the homework. I did it myself in between my training sessions. So
you were passionate about it.
Yeah, and I just got, I get my mind on that. I had that, but in the back, in my subconscious, there were a bigger problem that I have to solve. Everything comes down to problem solving, is what I feel. Like, if you have a problem, you have to solve it. Otherwise, it's just gonna be there floating around in your subconscious and fuck you up in different situations, I believe. So now I wanted to become a champion and everything, that was a professional fighter and all that. That's also a dream is a problem for your brain to solve, I believe, a little bit. If I have this problem in the back of my head subconsciously all the time, that will be fucking up the problem solving over here. That's how I think about it. So, and then it happened things, and when I started thinking about pro, even if I only had 7, forget about the fight. When I started thinking about going pro, something else happened that I had to take it a very. It wasn't a heavy decision. It was an easy decision. My brother was in a very bad situation with. He been on like coke for 7 years, and getting to know that was a little bit rough at the time. So I had to think about that a little bit, and my decision was just to, again, problem solving. It's a problem. I got to know that after many years of not having a connection with him. Always back in my mind and things like that, but I didn't have a connection with him. But we had same kind of friends, group of friends, because he's only 3 years older than me. So I started hearing more and more and more of what he's doing, and I tried to ask him. I even asked his girlfriend at the time if everything was okay. I remember I was in Thailand sending this message and said, I hear he's partying and doing all this stuff, right? And she said, no, it's all good. And for me, okay. Then a year later, then I started, like, my mother also. At this time, I hadn't really understood my mother and father, and this is only 4 years ago. So I didn't have I understood that it was something. But at that time, I couldn't really connect the dots. This had to happen for me to connect. So just see, with my brother there, seeing that, getting to know that he's on this thing, for me was like, I can't do any boxing or. So I did that. One day I took a car and I went to him. And brought him a coffee, and we went out for a ride with the car, and I asked him, I told him that you can tell me whatever you want, I will never judge you out of anything. So it took me like 2 hours for him to speak up a little bit, but I knew he was like, he's like me, but he was in a worse, in a heavier spot, because it was the cocaine.
That drug will fuck you up mentally, man, so much.
So I knew that this is not just a one phone call thing. I knew I had to dedicate, so from that day I called him on the phone every day and just wanted to have a connection with him. And I know cocaine is as Rick James said, a hell of a drug. And you can take it both ways. It can be a fun thing, but mostly fucking destroys people. So, I just knew that this drug is extremely difficult to stop with. And I know my brother, because when he was partying and we was at the same party, I know how much he was drinking. Like madman. Crazy man. Crazy man. Also comes from childhood things. But
is he younger brother?
3 years older.
3 years older. Okay. So same as me and my brother.
So I knew. I was like, when I realized that he was on coke, and I could connect those dots, his personality and this, I knew directly that he's not a light user. And
it's not just recreational.
Exactly.
So you probably both have that in common, a little all in, like a very 100%.
And he's the even more extreme that I am. I've been a little bit more drawn back and calm. He's been outgoing everywhere. He's a daredevil in whatever. Like everyone could talking him into anything. If someone said, "Oh, you can't do that," bing, I can do that. Like everything, so he was a madman. But that's also from childhood. Like my mother, I can go back to this as much as by if people are really interested in like to understand a little bit, just look at psychopaths, narcissism, and how that is kids growing up with that. Look into that, and you will have more understanding of what happens when I tell it, because it's gonna take so long to explain him from that all the time. So I just wanna.
It's almost like you need your own podcast.
Yes, I will have.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna get that sorted, because I think everyone could admit you've a real skill at doing this. So this is the easiest thing I've ever done. I just get to listen. So please keep going.
I love this. I love to talk. So I knew it's very difficult to get out of that. And then I started seeing like how my mother and father was behaving to my brother, and they knew more than me that he was on this, right? And they were screaming. They were just like my mother calling him bad person, like whatever, sending him mean fucking messages and all this. So that's how I started thinking like this
worst thing you could do, by the way.
And so one day I took my mom and dad to the kitchen, and told them in their faces like, this is not the way you're gonna help a person out of addiction. This is not the right way of doing it. You're yelling, you're saying all these things. And my mother couldn't handle that. She tried to blame it on him. That's when I started like, wait a minute, now it's something really crazy going on here.
Because she couldn't bear the idea that it could be like something that's a reflection of the way he's been brought up. Couldn't possibly be.
Exactly. And my dad, he's a kind person, but he's destroyed also from alcohol and pills. I'm sorry to say it, but then that's it. He's a kind person, but these pills, antidepressants, this is one of the most destroying things I know also, because it takes away all your emotions, not only you're sad. Every emotion is normal. So what it does, it takes away the anxiety and bad feeling. And that is what finally I feel some calmness. But what they don't realize is that their happiness, anger, all emotions. It's
sedating you almost.
Exactly, and this is connected to this, and I feel these pills cutting that off, so it's only here, the subconscious kind of thing, can't really listen to anything. We say, if I have anxiety over doing something really bad, right? I fucked up. I will be anxious about it, and that anxiety will draw me away from doing that thing again. For example, someone is drinking, right? Making a fucked up Saturday feel shit, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, everything, right? But on Friday he take this a medication that takes away your anxiety. So when he goes to the store to buy some more alcohol, that you know your worst case scenario, thinking and conscious, like your maybe I shouldn't do this. The feeling that will not be there. The anxiety will not be there, so you can go and buy that fucking drink so easy. This is what happens with these pills all the time, and you. But this is what I've learned from myself from anxiety. I tell a lot of people anxiety is just a normal feeling that's bodily, like it's normal. Address the why are you feeling anxious, and that is not that's not either a one day thinker. You have to dig deep, and When I've been going to doctors, they want to put me on pills, but I never wanted that, and I tried them. And I don't like them because they numbs me out. So going to doctor and doing this is the thing with marijuana that started with going to doctors. It took me a long time, to be fair, to even talk to doctors, but just marijuana and the MMA helped me a lot with I think with the emotion dealing. I can spread out my energy. So my time was like I would say I educated myself about mental health, depression. I googled a lot. Some people say don't do that. Like depends on
podcasts help a lot. It helped me a lot just hearing people. You'll help a lot of people just talking about your own dealings with it. But the more normalized we make this, and like the more normalized it becomes for people to like, yeah, I have anxiety every day, or it comes and goes. Like the more normalized you make that, I think the more like happy like people are going to be, because right now it's very stigmatized particularly for men to come out and talk about their mental health, you know.
Yeah.
And that's like so many people like suffer in silence, which is fucking terrifying, like, you know.
Yeah, and that's the suffering in silence is the thing that is making you suffer. It's only open your mouth. I promise you, only open your mouth, and the people that don't want to talk to you about it, don't talk with them. Talk with the people that want to talk with you. It's like anxiety is a normal thing. You don't want to have a pill that takes away your laughter or your happy, like when you have fun, right? So anxiety for me always been that compass of you're fucking something up. You don't and usually it comes down to when I find a problem, it's something that I don't like about myself. That it's always, and it can, like a lot of my I don't blame my parents for my like I'm not how do I say, I don't want to sound like so my
woe is me kind of thing.
Like where I am today is because of that. And how I see and perceive myself, how I am, and I'm fucking happy. So what I want to say is that even if it sounds very sad and all that, when I speak about it, and you will maybe get a sad feeling when you hear the situation, but think again, like I couldn't even talk about it before. I couldn't talk about it at all, but now I'm over it, and now I can give the story. So I already conquered, I already solved the problem, I would say.
Do you want to have kids?
Both yes and no. Like I would like yes. I think I would like. I think I would be a great father for sure. But then there is like, okay, the will is there if I find a right person that also want to have, for sure, if the circumstances is but it's not a thing that would absolutely. I can't say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. I don't know the fucking future. I don't know anything. And in my fantasy, if I am allowed to use my imagination, I can imagine myself being a great father.
Little Teddy,
for sure. But there's a lot of things there that has to be right.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I want. I've said to one thing that I want to create, what I am creating in my life is just peace. I don't want any drama. I don't want that, because that was my whole fucking life for so long. Only drama makers, doing drama over shitty things like my drama fight zone, all war zone in my home. I grew up in that. So now for me, it's only about peace, and even of course I feel anger a little bit against people, but what I want to create is peace. peaceful environment.
I was going through your Instagram there yesterday, and I saw just you the way you say you go through phases of stuff. There was a golf phase. You were golfing a lot. Do you like since coming over here? I played golf at home, but playing over here in this weather, we have a 9-hole par 3 behind us here, which is really nice. We played a lot, myself and one of my mates who lives here. Do you like do you enjoy playing golf?
Oh my God, yes. I forgot to tell you about that when I said I'm a sportsman. So one thing, also knowing myself with, I always had a sport. I always wanted to compete, evolve in a sport. I knew, like with MMA, I can do that. All my, I can coach and things later for sure, but I like competing. So then I tried golf, and I fell in love with it directly because it's similar to striking.
Yeah.
And
it's a full body movement, isn't it?
Yes, it's how to generate power from the ground in a mechanical movement and get all that energy out to like when I punch, it's the energy, you feel it in the hand. It goes from the toe right out in the hand. Same thing with golf, and you have to create a lag with your hips. Be able to separate your hip from your torso. It's the same thing when you kick. Same thing with, so that similarity.
Mind muscle connection almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like I played ping pong also from like. Yeah, I love sports.
I'd probably fuck you up in ping pong. We're a good ping pong family. Myself and my brother, we play pretty intensely.
Nice, man.
I like it. We'll do that at some point
for sure. And golf, it's the same thing there. Like I got crazy about it, and it was in the same time when I said I can do the MMA thing, and I know it's an addiction for me. It's a sport. I'm an addictive personality, and I'm addicted to sports.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a good thing to be addicted to.
Yeah, and
I couldn't think of anything more peaceful than going out and playing golf.
Yeah, it's
I love it.
I fucking love it.
And that's if that's your thing. If you're looking for peace and like something a day, even going out and playing. Do you go to the driving range a lot?
Now in here in Spain, I haven't played, but before.
Yeah, you should we have the driving range right behind us here, and they do it with like they bring you like drinks and like sandwiches behind you, and then you go out and play. It's like very leisurely, people. But it's I used to go, particularly during the pandemic. That's where I'd go. They stayed open a lot, the driving ranges, so I'd go on my own and just practice golf. It was very peaceful, very therapeutic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just saw that on your Instagram, and I was like, it's very interesting that it's just such a thing that I found as well in the last like 2-3 years. I really enjoy playing golf.
It's it's lovely. It's first of all, it's difficult. It's very difficult.
It's almost unmasterable golf. I don't think anyone's Tiger Woods maybe, but no one's like you'll spend your whole. My dad's played.
To be fair, as he say himself, and a lot of other golfers, he just mastered his mind. Like mastered his mind. He said when he's on a range and he's with all these other pros, they can hit the same length. They can even hit further than him, and they can stand and chipping, and they still have really good technique. But as soon as they go out there, he has full control. Like if you look at it, he has fucked up times, that man, and still coming back and doing this.
I didn't know. I kind of found. Did you watch the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance? So I find like the more I kind of look into sports, you see like Tiger Woods, like that unbeatable, like mental, like on a Sunday when he comes out in red, you're like no fucking doubt, no doubt I'm getting it done. And Michael Jordan, when I watched The Last Dance, I've watched it like 10 times, but that mental like fuck you, you're not beating me today. Like you see it in different sports, but even when people talk about like the best athletes of all time or the best people at their sports, like if you look at Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, like the first thing they'd say is mentally they were the toughest guys ever. They had it up here. And like you look at Michael Jordan, physically a beast, but not like he was the best athlete out there, like physically, but could do outworked everyone and mentally wasn't going to be beaten. So it's just, you see it more as you grow up and like go through life, you see more people, so that guy's got it down.
100%. Tiger Woods is fucking gangster. I think the things you've done, like don't like. A lot of people think golf. I don't know why they call it whatever they want, but golf is fucking difficult, and it's your ego tester. Like golf learned me a lot also, especially with my anger, like my anger problem. Like when I played video games when I was younger, I fucking raged. It's my emotions again.
Yeah.
So I learned.
And we had the connected controllers, so when you threw the controller, the PlayStation would fly over across the room, connected the TV would fly across the room.
One time I actually was so fucking frustrated, and there was a scissor in my way, on the window here where you can put your things, and I took that one and cut off this one, what do you call it, the cable, and then threw it away.
It's a permanent fuck you,
yeah. So the golf thing was like me realizing that I'm a very calm guy, but this fucking thing can make me so mad and so vicious. Like I had to say sorry to people. I'm embarrassed of my own behavior on many golf rounds. I'm sorry to the people. Sorry.
You should play with my dad. I've seen him broken out there with golfing.
Yeah, it's just so ego driven. It's the little baby ego inside of you that's saying you're not good enough.
But then you hit a perfect fade on the fairway onto the green, and you can have one shot a day where you go, oh, that's perfect, and you go, I did it, and then that can carry you through your next 3 rounds because you're like, I just want that feeling again. I just want to hit that one perfect shot again and be like, did you fucking see that?
That's the addictiveness again. It's like, hit that shot.
So we're going to have to call it soon because I'm about to run out of battery. But I did have a kind of a question about living in Marbella and where you want to, of all the places you've lived, where do you think long term you're gonna finish up, or have you not decided yet?
Now I'm starting to build a base here. That's what I do now, building a base and
build a community.
Yes, and I want to go back to boxing. I want to have because now, as I said, like I had with my mind and things like that. But where I'm at now, I'm good in my mind. So I feel I want to go back and have just a couple of fights, just to feel the things that just to finish the way that I wanted it to. I'm not really happy with the record, so I had to give my ego a little bit, I would say. But I want to go back doing that, but I, together with doing a podcast, and want to help a little bit with mental health and stuff like that. And in the cannabis community, I want to change the stigmatization.
I could see you owning a cafe in the future. Teddy's place.
Something.
Or just Teddy's.
Something. But we will see. But here in Marbella, I try to build something up right now with personal training a little bit. I'm gonna start do that. And I don't want to say too much. Because the thing is, what I've learned before, when I've been saying too much about my plans, those plans seem to fade out a little bit.
You almost need to not give it away, keep it to yourself, let it charge up.
And but I have some plans coming. That is
come on. Well, maybe when they start to materialize more, we'll have you back on to talk about it.
For sure, I would love to.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
This was amazing.
Man, this is the probably my favorite interview so far. It's something, I did a lot of the business. The guys I've had on want to talk a lot about business, which is great. I was just trying to have conversations with people, and if that's where they want to go, it's great. But this has been probably the realest conversation I've had, which is
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, man. I think you need to fucking have your own podcast, and we're going to talk after. I'll give you all the information you need in terms of starting one, but you clearly have a knack for it, so thank you for joining me, man.
Thank you.
I'll link Ted below. Get in there and follow on the socials. The guy's a fucking good dude, man. He's very positive. I follow when I see you on the beach fucking enjoying in the evenings. I'm like, yeah, Teddy's having a good day. So yeah, fucking like and subscribe, folks. Thanks again for watching.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Have a great day.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, this was amazing.